Alright, so this video is going to help you work on assignment number 2. So again, we're still adding and subtracting rational expressions. We're just adding and subtracting these fractions together. First thing you do is always look at the denominator. We have x here, we have 6 here. They're different, so we can't just add them as they are. We do have to make sure that the denominators are the same. There is there's something different that you're going to see on assignment number 2 that you didn't really see on assignment number 1. So let me just kind of introduce you. There's a shortcut. So the shortcut is you kind of gauge your denominators and see if you can just modify one of the fractions to match the denominator of the second one. Now, it will make sense once we get to the other examples, but here, there's nothing I can do to x to make it turn into a 6. And the vice versa, there's nothing I can do to 6 to make it turn into an x. So in this case, all I do is multiply each fractions by the other denominator, like assignment number 1. So I'm going to multiply 2 over x by this denominator here. Make sure you multiply top and bottom. And I'm going to multiply 5 over 6 by this denominator. Again, multiply top and bottom. And then you just multiply. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times x is 6x. 5 times x is 5x. 6 times x is 6x. The problem wants us to add. When you have the exact same denominator, this is when you just have to focus on the numerator only. So 12 plus 5x. When you are adding or subtracting terms, remember that it can only happen if they're common like terms. So in this case, 12 and 5x are not common. Therefore, you cannot combine them in any way. You can't subtract them. You can't add them. So I'm just going to rewrite what I have, but make sure you put it in order. 5x plus 12. Variables always first, constants last. And you keep the denominator. I know in assignment 1 I asked you to keep your answer simplified, but starting with assignment number 2, I'm going to have you guys just end it here. It gets a bit lengthy or a bit hard to understand how simplifying works when we have a plus sign or a minus sign. And I am trying to keep all of your assignments as simple as possible. So I'm just going to accept it if you leave your answer like this. So don't worry, it's going to be good. Next one. So let's take a look at our denominators. We have 7 and 2y. There's absolutely nothing I can do to 7 to make it turn into a 2y. And there's nothing I can do to 2y to make it turn into a 7. So what do? You just multiply both fractions by the opposite denominator. So I'm going to multiply 1 over 7 by the other denominator, which is 2y, both top and bottom. And multiply 3 over 2y by the opposite denominator, which is 7. And make sure you multiply top and bottom. 2y times 1 is 2y. 2y times 7 is 14y. 3 times 7 is 21. 2y times 7 is 14y. And the problem's asking us to subtract. Same denominator, just focus on the numerator. 2y minus 21. They're not like terms, so I cannot subtract them. So I just bring down what I have, and you keep the denominator the same. Again, if you leave your answer like this, it's fine, I'll accept it. You don't have to try to simplify. If you know how to simplify, perfect, go ahead. And if you have any questions on it, ask me and I'll be glad to help. Okay, now let's move on to our last examples. So it's the same step. You always look at the denominator first. So we have 2 and 6x. They are different, so we are going to have to multiply. But if you look here, can I do something to 2 to make it 6x? The whole point is to get the denominator to be the same. So all I have to do is just multiply 2 times 3x, right? 3x times 2 is 6x. As long as your denominator is the same, it really doesn't matter if you multiply one of the fractions or if you multiply both. Just always make sure you multiply top and bottom. So now 3x times 9 is 27x. So then what happens to the second fraction? Well, since our denominator is the same now, without having to do anything, you just leave it alone. They want us to add the two fractions together. Same denominator means you focus on the numerator. They're different terms, so I cannot combine them. So you just bring it down, leave it alone, and you keep the same denominator. You don't have to simplify. I'll accept it as it is. Moving on. 12y cubed. Just be careful with your exponents. 4y. Can I do anything? You're mainly multiplying, okay? So focus on multiplying. Can I multiply 12y cubed to turn it into 4y? No. How about the other way around? Can I multiply 4y to something to turn it into a 12y cubed? And the answer is yes. What can I multiply it by? Well, 4 times 3 gives me 12, and y times y squared gives me y cubed. Why? When you're multiplying variables, remember you add the exponent. So 1 plus 2 will give me 3. Multiply top and bottom. Nothing happened here because by multiplying 4y by 3y squared, we already get the common denominator. So nothing really needs to be done with the first fraction. 7 times 3 is 21. This is the only variable, so you just leave it alone. It's asking us to subtract. Same denominator, focus on the numerator. They're different terms, so you cannot subtract it. I'm just going to put it in order. And you keep the denominator. Oops, sorry. This should have been squared. And I'll accept this. I hope it makes sense. I hope it helps with the assignment number 2. If you have any more questions, again, just contact me through Remind. I'm sorry if I don't answer you right away. It just happens. So, but please do email me or text me on Remind. I will for sure guarantee get back to you, even if it takes a little bit of time. All right, thank you, everybody.